we will be doing around 70% in terms of accommodation occupancy. Then when we hit a week to Christmas, we'll be doing 80%. And then when we hit the Eve of Christmas upwards, then we'll be doing about 100%. In fact, let me be careful with these figures that I'm giving you. In fact, this one does not affect all the hotels. It doesn't affect all the hotels, but normally the upmarket hotels, the upmarket hotel, we are looking at the 3, 4, 5-star hotel. They enjoy some of these things. In fact, there's a kind of dynamics that I'll talk about later when I get opportunity. But currently, we are doing this week. We are doing 50%, 60%, and then next week we hope it will pick up to 70%. Now, our brothers and sisters from the diaspora or the world, anytime there's an election in Ghana, anytime there's an election in Africa for that matter, in fact, it creates they all know the tensions and other things. Ghana, we've done excellently well. But you see, this particular election, there was a little bit of tension, because whoever wins is breaking a record or setting a record. So all these things brought tension here and there. But thank God our politicians did extremely well. And in fact, there is peace everywhere. So in fact, now that they are monitoring from afar, and sometimes there's what we do, we look at as operators. We are looking at before, during, and after. And I must say, we've done excellently well, especially after the post-election era. So these are the things that we hope, in fact, it will draw the traffic. So, few research that we made here and there, the whole thing is that nobody will be waiting for you. Somebody want to go elsewhere. So we are still looking that we may get the figures, but that's what we are saying. We are maybe getting that's what we are praying that we'll get it as we be hitting somewhere 23rd or 23rd, 24th, 25th. We'll be getting the 90%, the 100%.
Okay.
So that's what I think.
Well, with the patrons flooding or trooping into your hotels and the places where you provide all of these unique events, what are packages that they should be expecting, especially Greater Accra hotels? What are some of the packages you're offering this season for patrons?
Excellent and juicy packages, and customer service will be on top because we've done a few training here and there to improve on customer service. If I realize that in the past, that's what everybody's complaining about. So, in fact, so what we are saying that, in fact, when they come, in fact, since I'm talking for all the hotels in Accra, I don't want to, if I don't take care, just be talking about what one particular hotel will be doing. But like the traditional thing that we normally do, there will be a celebration, massive celebration on 24th, where artists will be invited to our hotels to perform and parties here and there. 25th, in fact, there will be family gathering here and there, having lunch and other things. 26th, we will have lunch and dinner here and there, programs that we normally do. 31st, the Eve of 31st, the 31st, the Eve of New Year, we'll also be having a lot of programs here and there. The fireworks also will be there. And this year, we are taking advantage of the peaceful nature of the election. So we are telling them that, look, Ghana, we've done it again. How did we do it? We've done a peaceful election. So the fireworks this year around is going to be massive, going to be exciting, and it's going to be spectacular. So that's what, if anyone that visits our hotels should expect.
Okay, they should expect.
Right.
But what about comfort? One thing that patrons, tourists experience, or one thing that they hold very, very dear to themselves, is their safety and the comfort in the hotels they stay in, to make sure that nobody will steal my stuff. My bed is a good bed. I'm enjoying the value for my money. So if we are going to any Greater Accra hotel, I'm walking into a hotel to pay to stay there for a night, for 2 nights, for 3 nights. How am I assured of my safety and my comfort?
All right. As members of Ghana Hotel Assist, one of the things that we'll be doing every year, let me start with the upmarket hotels. In fact, we up our game because it is not the normal day that we do our program. In fact, let me start with security. Security, I must say, we've upped our games. In fact, when you go to almost all the hotels, right now, most of them have got CCTV cameras. And we are saying not just providing the CCTV cameras, but somebody should be there to monitoring the CCTV cameras. So when there's an issue, in fact, there's on the spot check, and then whoever that's committing any crime is taken care of. So in terms of security, we're putting all things in place. And I must say this one, we are in touch with national security and also with the Ghana police, where day to day they check on us to find out how prepared are we. Because if anything go wrong, they will not mention any particular hotel, but they will mention Ghana. So basically, that's exactly what we are doing. That in fact, a lot of training too have done. They've gone on, especially those that are sourcing. Make sure that the people that they bring them, the security guy they bring to the place are well trained, and also they are in good shape. Again, when we come to comfort, we've been working behind the scene because we've been taking feedbacks from our clients that comes. So this year, what we intend to, what we have promised that when they come, their comfort is assured. Their comfort is assured, and we are working very hard to improve upon the services year by year. So I must say that all eyes are on Ghana because of our December in GH, and our competitors want to also get a share of this December in GH thing. So look, Nigerians are working to get the share of the diasporans. Rwandans are working, Kenya people are working, South Africans are working to get all this. And we have done it, and we are doing it better. So for us to retain the visit, is on our service and the product that we give out. So basically, when we do it well, it will help us and to help the country as a whole.
Before I let you go, to sleep in a hotel is not cheap. So with luxury hotels and all, especially in Accra, how are you balancing luxury and affordability to cater to a wide range of patrons during the Christmas?
In fact, most hotels, some hotels are giving discount. I'll tell you this one. The budget hotels and then the one-star hotels, normally, these are the hotels that are people lodge. And you know, Ghanaians normally go for holidays to their villages and so on and so go to their villages. So normally, while the upmarket hotels are full, depending on the location and the program that is going on within the area, some hotels may not be full. So one of the strategies that we've employed is that, in fact, though people should do freebies, discounts. So even the upmarket hotels where they are getting full booking and other things, they're also giving discounts. So those who will be doing staycation will be enjoying some sort of discount, not just discount on accommodation, discount on food and other things. So these are the things that we are putting in place to make it affordable.
Okay.
I wouldn't go there. If we would have loved, let me put this in across, we would have loved that our rates would be cheaper, lower than elsewhere. But you see, because we are surrounded with the kind of tax regime and then the levies and other things, that's where it has brought us today where we are. Now,
okay.
We want
are
to
you
tell
saying that the taxes have made you increase the rates at the hotels?
Not that the taxes have made us increase our rate. The taxes that have made our rates expensive. You understand? But what we're doing is that we are trying as much as possible that we are doing value for money. Now, I don't want us to veer into another discussion, But all I will say is that we are about 23 to 24 regulatory bodies that deal with the industry. And as such, most of these regulators also come with their taxes and their levies and all that comes. So at the end of the day, we are businessmen. We are into business to make profit. And then also, the exchange rate are also not favorable because look, in this recent time, we are importing almost everything from vegetables, from whatsoever, and all that. So all these things affect our cost. And at the end of the day, what do? You push all to the consumer, or you push. In fact, now I'll say the hotels are doing what we call cost sharing. Okay. So right now, you push some to the your clients and keep some and spread them, okay, so that at least it does not become too expensive. And also, you're also looking at return visit and all that. So that's why sometimes our hotels seem to be a little bit expensive.
Mr. Afunya, we'll come back after the Christmas, after you have given all of the patrons all the good and juicy packages, and then we'll look at how governments can also work to make your lives better, and in terms of the taxes and the levies you are talking about.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And let me take this opportunity to congratulate the new general manager of Movenpick Hotel. Movenpick Hotel has got a new manager and a general manager. In fact, he is the first Ghanaian to occupy that position. So let me take this opportunity to congratulate him for him achieving that, and then also Merry Christmas to everybody.
Right. We are grateful for your time this morning. Ben Afunya is the chairman, Greater Accra Regional Branch of Ghana Hotels Association. He says that, rest assured, they'll be giving you a very great time during the Christmas. So do well to visit any hotel for all of the nice packages they do have. That's all for Business Fix. Let's head straight into our discussion. So today on our main discussion, we're looking at Parliament. Yesterday, Parliament reconvened for its last sitting for this Parliament. The 8th Parliament yesterday had its last sitting. It was an interesting sitting yesterday. There were sound bites all over for those who followed it. And there were so many conversations inside Parliament yesterday. And in all of it, some of the things that stood out was Majority Leader Afenyo Markin speaking, Minority Leader Keito Atuforton also speaking. They all had very interesting things to say. The outgoing MP for Menchia South, Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh, also spoke, and there were back and forth conversations in the Parliament there. For you who followed it, how did you enjoy the conversation? Was it up to your expectations, looking at the things that had characterized this Parliament? And about a month or two ago, leading into the elections, what did you expect to happen when Parliament reconvened? Did it meet your expectations, or did it fall below your expectations? About Parliament reconvening and what it meant. One of the things that stood out for Parliament was that they needed to look at certain things that will help the next government. So yesterday, when Parliament reconvened, the session was a spectacle of contrasting mood. It saw incumbent members of Parliament who lost their seats return to the House to attend to pending government businesses for the last time. And while the Majority Caucus sought to push forward its legislative agenda with urgency, the Minority Caucus, on the other hand, made clear their intention to challenge every move they deemed unfavorable, expressing strong reservations about the government's plan to procure ships for the Ghana Navy at a projected cost of 140 million euros and some tax waivers for companies under the One District, One Factory initiative. Yesterday, like I said, there were interesting conversations there. Let's not bore you with much talk. Let's head straight and see excerpts of yesterday's proceedings.
Honorable members, I have those who believe that I erred in my ruling may need to be taken to school. I'm not sure they read the ruling very well. And that ruling actually worked in their favor. Honorable Majority Leader, it actually worked in your favor. And for you to come here and try to impede on that ruling, please, I really was surprised that you raised the issue that you put across. It's not correct. Please.
We don't intend the temperature. Mr. Speaker, I never raised this matter. Honorable Rashid.
I'm not saying you raised the matter. I've not said that.
Mr. Speaker,
but you gave an example that I told you. I'm sure you are talking about maybe in private.
No, Mr. Speaker, that's
sometimes the speaker errs.
Mr. Speaker, not on this occasion. It was not related to this. Mr. Speaker, it's not related to this. Mr. Speaker, today is the first day. Don't mind them. They are provoking you. Don't mind them. It is not like, Mr. Speaker, don't mind them. Don't be provoked. Mr. Speaker, be a very happy man. I beg you. I don't want them.
Don't worry. I will never be provoked.
Mr. Speaker,
but the public, they are listeling to us.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't relate it.
You know,
I beg you.
And the public will be misled. I gave about 3 reasons. And I'm sure you didn't avert your mind to the 3rd reason. For the reason why I adjourned, actually not suspend, I adjourned the meeting indefinitely. And I listened to some of you debate this matter on air. And I thought you should have been commending me for adjourning it, but you were rather condemning me for doing so. It saddened me, but I understand the arena we are in. And so I've taken it cool in my stride. As we go along, we'll have to deepen the orientation and training of members of parliament so that we don't get the public being confused by you who are seen as leaders.
Okay, so you saw that yesterday, speaking in Parliament, addressing the House, and he alluded to some of the things that he says the Majority Leader Afenyo Markin had said. So that was what transpired there. We'll have some conversations on yesterday's meeting in Parliament, which is supposed to be the last meeting of this Parliament. On by December 7, January 7, we'll have a new Parliament, and we'll see what this new Parliament will also prefer for Ghanaians. This is a Parliament that has been a hung one, basically a hung Parliament, and with it came all of the nuances and all of the things that were very particular to this Parliament, and I doubt any other Parliament will be able to give us these characteristics that we saw in the 8th Parliament. Like the outgoing MP for Dom Kabenya said, she says that this is still the 8th Parliament. She said that yesterday in an interview. By January 7 now, we will have a 9th Parliament. You as a Ghanaian, after all the things you have noticed or you have followed in this Parliament, how would you rate this Parliament? Is this a Parliament that you would expect to see again and again? Yesterday, Ato Forson spoke. He is the Minority Leader. Kaisel Ato Forson Okujeto Ablakwa, a member of the minority side, also spoke. Napo, who is the outgoing MP for Menchia South, Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh, also spoke on the floor of Parliament. Let's take you back for some excerpts.
We are going to repeal the betting tax, the e-levy. We are going to repeal all these taxes. You are going to reduce the taxes at the ports. We wonder where you get the money to implement the Onkukon Ketenkete. We are waiting. Mr. Speaker, these are on a lighter note. But Mr. Speaker, clearly, this is a time for us to reflect, particularly those of us getting into opposition. Indeed, no party can run a perfect government in this country. When you get into government, whilst you are happy to implement your policies, you are likely to make some mistakes. We concede that some mistakes were made. We concede that we couldn't have done everything perfect. The people have spoken, we've accepted it. But Mr. Speaker, the coming days and years will reveal the true colors of this umbrella. And
the second issue that I want to raise relates to the tall list of tax waivers that the majority leader continues to present to this House in business statements. Mr. Speaker, we have stated our position on this matter, and considering the fact that all of these matters have been voted against and rejected by the Ghanaian people, why is the majority leader still putting it in the business statement and wanting to get us to work on these matters, which are so unpopular? A tall list, over 40 tax waivers, Mr. Speaker, and this will have serious fiscal implications for the next government. I mean, why do you want to saddle the next government with these huge revenue losses when you have been roundly rejected at the polls? And this is a government talking about coming to cut down obnoxious and nuisance taxes, and then you are creating more fiscal liabilities for us. So, Mr. Speaker, we want to serve notice that these tax waivers, we are not going to support them. So, please listen to the Right Honourable Speaker's list of priorities, particularly the budget for the first 3 months of next year. As for tax waivers, we cannot support you. Honourable Afenyo-Markin, we cannot support.
For an outgoing government to commit an incoming government to millions of US dollars, which will be a fiscal strain on the next budget. The Speaker, I said this on the backdrop that before us, they are proposing to buy ships worth 140 million euros at this time. Mr. Speaker, it is very wrong for a government that is leaving office in 3 weeks, to commit 140 million euros. Mr. Speaker, if it is extremely important for the state, allow the new government to commit them. It's extremely important for the state.
So you just have excerpts from what transpired yesterday in Parliament. Afenyo-Markin, Majority Leader, spoke. Ablakwa of the Minority also spoke, and Keso Atoforsen, the Minority Leader, also spoke. They had quite a number of conversations there yesterday on the floor of Parliament. We will have conversations with some parliamentary watchers so that we can also peruse yesterday's sitting and see if indeed it is a good outlook for us entering into the 9th Parliament. And going into the 9th Parliament, what are the things Ghanaians are looking forward to seeing different from what we saw in this 8th Parliament? An 8th Parliament that has been characterized by so many interesting things all over, conversations that, difficult conversations, some hard conversations, and some conversations that others enjoyed. In any case, has this 8th Parliament inured itself to you as a Ghanaian? Have you enjoyed this 8th Parliament? Are you grateful for this kind of Parliament? And entering into the 9th Parliament, what do you seek to see? The NDC raised concerns about various tax waivers the NPP is looking at implementing before they leave office, and they say that no, we can't allow a government that is leaving to saddle us with such, and that we have to carry or bear the burden alone. So they stood vehemently against some of these waivers, and the NPP also were decisive about certain things and how they are expecting to leave the parliament as it is. But as you were Ghanaian, when you followed the proceedings in parliament yesterday, when you followed the sitting, what did you think? How did it reflect on you? Let's speak with Clement Akolo. He is a communications officer for Parliamentary Network Africa. Hello, Clement. Good morning. Thank you for your time.
Let me take this opportunity to also welcome you.
Good morning.
Into the house, and welcome.
Hello.
Back into this.
Okay. I trust you well.
We will.
Yeah.
Good morning, Clement. I'm fine, thank you. I trust you also well. I can hear you.
The ones in every 4 years.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Parliament sat for what would be its last sitting in this 8th Parliament. In 30 seconds, just give us the overview of what happened and how you, as a parliamentary watcher, the lenses through which you looked at it.
All right, thank you very much. Yesterday, I think that what we expected to happen happened. Actually, the acrimony that greeted the days before the election, where they didn't understand each other and they didn't want to even know or accept where to sit. Yesterday was a different issue, I guess because the election has been hard, and now everybody knew their smoothness level, as we say it in Ghana. So they have come to an understanding that let us belong to the minority for now, knowing very well that when we get into the next parliament, we are going to be the majority. And then the majority also thinks that let us accept what we have for now, so that we can get our business going. So the little time that is left for us in government, we can make use of it. Yeah. So we thought that it was a good decision that the speaker took to allow the proceedings to be halted until after the elections. And we think that we are having some good results after that. And we are hoping that the work that is left for the time being will be done, and will be done in the national interest.
Okay. Looking at the disposition of the MPs yesterday, they understood that this was majority, this was minority. Do you not believe that they did Ghanaians a disservice by the bickerings, the back and forth they made us witness? Look, since just after elections, they both have understood that this is where I stand, and they went there without any qualms. Couldn't they have done this long before?
You know, it was what was at stake. They were all, looking at their gains after the elections, and what they were doing, their political grandstanding, was towards a particular result. So all that we were seeing and were hearing and the bickering was not exactly how they would have wanted it, but how they will use that to influence their chances in the elections. So we are not surprised that all of a sudden after the elections, resetting themselves into reality. And that's why we are seeing that. But it was unfortunate that Ghanaians had to bear the brunt of their quote and unquote political shenanigans just to make their own interests come to the fore.
Well, Speaker has still not acknowledged the Supreme Court Court's ruling. However, you see that the majority knew where to sit, the minority knew where to sit. Should we say that it brings finality to the matter?
I think for now, it brings finality to the matter. But if we say Mr. Speaker has not acknowledged, seriously, for us where we sit, we don't see why Mr. Speaker should not acknowledge what the Supreme Court has pronounced on. Because as far as we are concerned, and as he himself indicated, that he believes in the supremacy of the Constitution. So if the Constitution gives the mandate to the Supreme Court to interpret the Constitution, then we believe that what the Supreme Court has said for now about those particular clauses that was sent to the Supreme Court where their jurisdiction was invoked, whatever they said at that point in time holds until it is 10 or until something else happens. So I think explicitly he has not said anything about the ruling, but I also don't think that there's anything barring those people who were hitherto declared as persona non gratas in this particular 8th Parliament from coming to Parliament. I'm yet to know whether any of them made attempt to come to Parliament and then they were prevented.
Right.
But if the status quo remain, then it means that whatever it was remains. If the majority NPP is keeping their majority and the minority NDC is keeping their minority, then it is safe to assume that whatever the status quo was, we are back to it.
And it's brought finality to it.
Okay, that's where maybe there will be an issue. But for now, in future, if anybody is going to rely on any precedents, I think the precedents that will be relied on will be backed by the Supreme Court pronouncement. So for now, I think there is finality on that particular clause, the clause that was sent to the Supreme Court for interpretation. There is finality on it until it is overturned.
The issue about some $530 million in tax waivers for companies has raised concerns among Ghanaians, and yesterday on the floor of Parliament too, it was raised. What will be your reading into this matter, tax waivers up to that amount?
All right. Tax waivers itself has not been a very popular and convenient thing for us as far as we are concerned as how do you call it? The protection of the national purse is concerned. So when it comes to tax justice and all those campaigns that are being carried out, we are not too comfortable. That's civil society. It's not too comfortable with the many tax waivers that are granted to businesses. Sometimes we don't even see the benefit that were preached at the time it was being procured. And this is one of them, especially when the government is just about leaving the scene. How do you justify these tax waivers when you are just about to leave the scene? That is one of the issues. But be that as it may, it is before Parliament, and Parliament is supposed to scrutinize it and ensure that if it's a good thing, we accept it. So now it behoves on the now majority, the NPP, to convince their counterparts in Parliament that are the minority that these tax waivers are absolutely important for the movement forward of this country in such that they need to convince everybody, not just their counterparts, and also all of us, that if we do not grant these tax waivers, something will happen to our economy. I mean, our country will stop existing. Those businesses are going to collapse, which will be ominous for our economy. I mean, they must be able to convince all of us. That's what they are supposed to do. And I'm sure that if they have enough evidence, enough information to convince us and convince the minority, I think they should be able to get it passed through. Okay. But if the information is not there, the evidence is not there, and nothing is there to actually prove that previous tax waivers that you have granted have yielded such results, that this particular tax waiver that you are going to grant up to a tune of about $500 and something million, it will yield such fruit, then I don't know how we're going to give a blanket support to it. So I think that they need to trash it out in Parliament, and that few days that they have to do business, convince them, and then let them get it passed through.
In a few weeks, we will be entering into the 9th Parliament. This 9th Parliament is also a very different Parliament than we have seen. It also affords us another opportunity to see a Parliament we have not seen before. What are some of the things that the characteristics of this 9th Parliament will bode for our democracy and governance in the country? A Parliament that the NDC will be having, some say, a super majority. What should we expect to play out in this Parliament?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting that we are just coming from a Parliament that is almost very difficult for the political parties to maneuver, to a Parliament that gives absolute majority to the incoming government to be able to do anything that it wants, except changing a man to a woman and a woman to a man. Mm-hmm. And some have even said that with such a majority, you can even do that. But so what it means is that in the next Parliament or the next government, the government has been given such opportunity to get its businesses through. Whatever it has promised the people to do, it has the opportunity to be able to get it passed through Parliament, and even change some of the things on our constitution that we are not too comfortable about, and some which they have preached about, because this one even gives them the two-thirds majority that they need to be able to amend some of the non-entrenched constitutional provisions. So it's a very, very huge opportunity for the incoming government. What does it bode for scrutiny of parliamentary business? What it also means is that the minority have very little chance of turning down or maybe thwarting the efforts of the government in Parliament. So what it means is that the minority, in order to be able to hold the government to account, must be strategic. Must be strategic in the sense that it must build very, very strong relationship with the media and civil society and the public to be able to hold the majority into account. Hold the majority into account with the help of the media. So now what is going to happen is that the media would have to support the minority in the work that they do. And this must be done hand in hand. to ensure that the civil society also provide evidence when the minority raises the issue through the media. Then the civil society will provide evidence, proper evidence to back the issues that the minority is raising, in order to make sure that the minority would not just be raising issues that will just be to thwart the effort of the government in power, but properly supported by evidence by civil society, because civil society have the benefit of doing research, of going to the back room and ensuring that information is well knitted for a particular purpose. And then the minority must win the confidence of the citizenry, so that the citizenry will now support what the minority and the media are putting out. So we need to have a citizen that is concerned about what goes on in Parliament, that is concerned about what is in governance, so that if the minority and the media raise this issue and the citizen is not concerned, it will not go that far, because the politicians and our government leaders, the only people they are afraid of is the citizenry, a very informed citizenry that make choices based on the information that has been given to them by the media through the minority. So these are some of the ways that we can hold the overwhelming majority that has been handed to the incoming government to account. But there is one thing that I'll also say to the incoming government, that they should learn from the mistakes of the outgoing government. You know, at every 8-year cycle, we have some of these things happening where the incoming government gets a majority or a comfortable majority to work with in Parliament. Most of the time when that happens, they take the people for granted in the first 4 years, because they feel that they have the power to do what they want or what they like. So they do not pay attention to some of the policies and the laws that they are making. They just put them in and just try to satisfy themselves without looking at the national interest. So that is a trap. So this particular trap to the NDC incoming government, they must be watchful and ensure that they are responsible with their majority. Otherwise, what we just witnessed, the tsunami that we just witnessed in Parliament, may be worse. And not just that, now all over the world, the citizenry are not too comfortable with the dividends of democracy. And therefore, in some countries that had democracy, that trusted in the parliamentary system and all that, I mean, gave it off or actually did away with it. We don't want that to happen to our country. If the people have trusted in democracy enough and have gone to the polls to do elections and to change governments through the ballot box, it means that they are expecting a certain dividends to come to them. If they are not getting these dividends, that is when they will be looking at elsewhere for solutions. Now that the people have voted overwhelmingly to take out this particular government, to bring in another government, hoping that they will get the dividends of it. If they do not get the dividends, next time they would use other means. So it behoves on the political actors now who are going to get the opportunity to govern to ensure that democracy pays the dividends. And with this overwhelming majority, the NDC must actually provide the goods the goods that will make the people think that this democracy is worthwhile. So it's a thorny issue for both political representatives in parliament. One must be responsible with their majority, and the other must ensure that no matter what it is, have partnership to be able to hold this particular overwhelming majority to account.
Is the partnership the only thing that will help the minority in this case? Beyond partnerships, are there other wells they could tap into to be a relevant minority?
Yes, so if some of the things that we experienced in this particular 8th Parliament, I think we kept hammering on it, that we are in a new dispensation. We all have to learn that the dynamics have changed. The way we do politics must change. So if the minority or the NPP minority will do themselves a lot of good, if they go into the next parliament coming on board with very responsible way of doing business and not trying to seek vengeance and trying to only make the government look unpopular, but rather try to give very, very alternative ways of governing, then they will be gaining the confidence of the people. Gaining the confidence of the people as a political party that has new ways of doing things that are different from the way the incoming government will be doing things, and not be towing the old political ways that they used to do things, where you by all means need to be abrasive, by all means needs to show or be unconcerned about the national interest, but only seeking to hammer a political or partisan political interest. Because now, what the new generation have taught us is that they are interested in what will move them forward, and not necessarily what used to be the case of their fathers and their forefathers, who tie their apron strings to some political regimes, some political traditions, but they are looking at systems that work. So if you are even in a minority and they think that you have the magic wand, or you have the system that will work for them, I think they will go with you. And if you look at the performance of one of the independent candidates who is youthful, what he promised to them, I think he made a very good showing at the elections. This should tell us that people are thinking about people who will give them solutions. Okay. So the minority should not just go there and try to play the normal political card, but try as much as possible that they will bring alternatives that will enhance governance.
Right.
And if they do that successfully, then they will be giving themselves a chance for a comeback in the near future.
Right. Thank you, Clement. We'll come back to you, but let me move on to Mustapha Gbandi, the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Let's have some conversations on this too. Hello, Mustapha. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
The NDC, yesterday, Parliament reconvened. Your NDC was at the minority, NPP was in the majority. There were conversations there. If you followed it, were you confident about how your side of Parliament held themselves yesterday?
Well, morning and good morning to yourselves and our cherished listeners. And not just because the NDC is in the majority in terms of numbers, but also because most of the MPP MPs failed to show up. If you look at the businesses that was tabled in Parliament, it was quite shocking and surprisingly that even yet that the MPP have lost election, all they seek to do is to find a way of sabotaging the people of Ghana and the new government. What are they pushing for? They are pushing for loans, and to add salt to injury, they are pushing for tax waivers for private entities. At the time Ghanaians are facing excruciating economic conditions, at the time Ghanaian businesses are collapsing, these companies are foreign companies that the minority group, that is the MPP, is pushing and prioritizing tax waivers for these companies. And for me, I was livid when I listened to Appenyo Martins, and the worst of it is that when I listened to Napo Matopuku Prempe make submission on the floor, I could reconcile that with the fact that he is still recovering from the defeat. But I would have thought that he should have known that his own nature, character, personality was not one that qualifies him to go to the Flagstaff House. However, I think the atmosphere represented Ghanaian. The atmosphere was calm. And for me, at this point in time, we have a one Ghana. At this point in time, elections are over. We have a nation to build. We have businesses to grow. We have destinies to protect. We have people to relieve them of hardship. We have to disburden our people from hard economic and devastating economic conditions created by the NPP, and also protect this country and see it on a pedestrian of growth, and that we require that cooperation, we require that environment, we require that calmness, we require that unison. I do also know that the NPP have decided deceptively to ensure that after they have lost power in the last 7 days, the dollar should come down, so that by the time His Excellency John Dramani Mahama takes over, the issue is that dollar was 10 cedis, and then after Christmas it will jump to 20 cedis. You know, if you have a group of people politically who think this way, you can describe them not as politicians, but as evil-minded group of people. They are praying to see a new government fail. They are praying to create unbearable conditions for a new government. They are praying and doing everything possible to see the new government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama struggle. And at the back of it, who suffers? It is the people of Ghana who suffers. It's a Ghanaian taxpayer whose taxes they have stolen, whose taxes they have mismanaged, whose taxes they have misapplied, leaving the ordinary taxpayer dejected, impoverished, frustrated, having to bear very, very, very harsh standard of living. Today, we are going for Christmas, and it is as if we are in a cemetery. This same group of people are regrouping and pretending to be saints. I once again invite the people of Ghana that much as we are observing them and their proceedings in Parliament, let us not forget that last month by this time, these were the people responsible for all the pain we have gone through. These were the people who have sabotaged frustrate the will of the people of Ghana, led by an old man who is 84 years. These are the same group of people who came together to dissipate, to share, and dilute state investment.
Mustafa, let me go back to Parliament and say that in the 9th Parliament, NDC will have an overwhelming majority in Parliament. While some believe that it will be in the favor of the NDC, others say that you may end up turning against yourselves and shoot yourself in the foot, looking at the overwhelming majority if you are unable to handle it properly. How is the NDC and how are your members of Parliament who are yet to take up the 9th Parliament putting themselves together to make sure that they advance the interest of the nation and at the end of the day do not change Parliament to be what we have not envisioned it to be?
Well, I think that basically the numbers in Parliament was not for political reasons. It is a product of the collective will of Ghanaians rejecting a corrupt regime, and it gives us an advantage. The NDC does not have any plan to misuse, abuse, subvert the advantage, the democratic advantage of having an overwhelming majority. It is simply the numbers of representation. What it is that most NDC MPs will be representing their constituents, and that is what it is. At the end of the day, NPP have done too many evil things, but you can have my assurance that will be handled. It will be handled. It will be reversed. If it has to be, it will be reversed. People of Ghana must not be paying the kind of taxes they pay, and then they have used Parliament to approve loans and chop same and misuse same. The NDC won't do that. We are simply going to ensure that the right things are done in the interest of the people of Ghana.
Well, Mustafa, NDC says that you have gone to court. You are seeking an injunction against the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission says that some of the declarations were null and void. So some seats are still undeclared. You have gone to court to seek an injunction. This is the body that is responsible for elections in the country. And if in their mandate they have seen that some things were amiss, why not just follow the processes?
Well, the Electoral Commission is deficient in knowing what null and void means.
It is deficient. How so?
No, it's law. It has to take the court. They have appointed various district officers, and they declared elections, and that if anybody has a problem with sin, the person should just head to court. It gives us a peaceful atmosphere. But I can also assure you that we are not going to sit down and allow the Mensa to keep misbehaving. Maybe if you go and do those coalitions in the sky, but not on land, there will not be room for that to occur. The MPP have lost and lost abysmal. They should group, repent, clean themselves up, and come back for election in 2028, 2025, 2024, and 2028. But in the meantime, the window is closed. They've been thrown out of the door. They can't come back in the window. We will not allow the MPP to use the Mensa to overturn the will of the people. It will not happen. It will not happen today. It will not happen tomorrow. That's the end of the conversation.
Aren't you becoming too difficult in all of these conversations? Some may see you as a party that just cannot have enough, or you already have an overwhelming majority. If the
MPP wiped out from Parliament
and have NDC as 276 MPs in Parliament.
Not NDC at 276. People's representation. If you have criminals who have become nation wreckers, they are unfit to be in Parliament. Today, as we speak, they are still stealing things left, right, and center. And if I tell you some of the things, you would weep. And so, it is what it is. It is what it is, my sister.
So that is it for you, the NDC?
That is it for us. if we get the opportunity to get rid of all their MPs from Parliament, it will be a celebrated moment for the people of Ghana.
Well, others seem to be confident about the work Jean Mensa and her EC are doing, believing that they have been transparent enough to the people of Ghana. They have conducted a credible elections. So if there's anything more to these elections, why not allow them to continue to do the work that they are doing? In any case, we've seen hoodlums and thugs invade various EC offices and destabilizing to some extent the peaceful electoral process we've had so far. Why not allow them to bring finality to all of these issues about declarations?
Well, it's unfair if we describe people whose will is about to be stolen and they are protesting as violent. What they are simply doing is to say that the Electoral Commission have done abysmal work, the Electoral Commission have demonstrated incompetence, the Electoral Commission have demonstrated lack of capacity and capability, the Electoral Commission has a tendency to jeopardize this nation, and that their votes didn't reflect some of the declarations. Meanwhile, protests will be a subsequent an action precedent to a court action. So we are admonishing them that will gather the evidences and put to court.
But Mustafa, if you say that it is unfair to label those who have ransacked places as violent, then what should we call them?
I didn't say that. I said those of them who are protesting at the Electoral Commission. In fact, those who are invading offices, they have condemned same.
Okay.
Much as even this morning as I speak to you, BMMC, there's a gold reserve there. They are trying, yesterday they stole 10 kilos.
Who are they?
The CEO for PMMC, so we are sending people there. So if you do these things, I was in Ashanti region yesterday, we arrested over 10,000 stolen bags of fertilizer. Okay, in our Kakwe somewhere, we invaded and recovered stolen over 20 Land Cruisers. At top, they are trying to lift crude, stolen crude. So are you expecting the NDC to go and sleep so that these people make governance difficult for you and I?
But shouldn't it be the work of the police to undertake all of this work? Why are...
Was it not the police yesterday that led Electoral Commission to go and tamper with ballot papers in Abiyakumanov? Yesterday in the night.
This is the same police.
The law does not disarm citizens from being vigilant and also helping the police to work. So we have instructed that it's unlawful to invade government business, and so if anybody has an issue, let them report to the police. With the assistance of the police, let recovery be made, let impoundment be made, so that after transition, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will decide the way forward.
But this is the same police service you would be working with when you are sworn in. You have used the NDC has said some things about the police, and at this moment you say the police led the Electoral Commission to tamper with some ballot. Right. So how are you going to work with this police service?
The police have demonstrated a lot of professionalism as far as this election is concerned, but they themselves believe that a change must happen. Except the military, and I don't commend the military for anything. In fact, the military is a source of the problems we have experienced in the election. And also commending even the NPP itself and our party people, because we finished the voting up to 8. There was no violence, no NPP person touched NDC person, no NDC person touched NPP person. And that showed remarkable political tolerance, except that there are individuals who are more political than professional, and I think that they must desist and support the nation. I just gave you instances of stealing. They are stealing building materials, and then one material they are stealing construction materials. They go to a fertilizer warehouses and they are stealing. In Tepa, for example, Prempe is sleeping with the Electoral Commission officer who were having a conversation with him about what to do, and that is wrong. The NADMO coordinator, who is an aspirant in Tepa, has moved NADMO reliefs to his private warehouse in Tepa, which is the source of the problem there. My sister, I'm just asking you, Should we go and sleep and allow them to continue to steal? Is that what you're asking for? All the youth are trying to do is to support, protect what is state property.
Aren't you setting a bad precedent for the nation in this?
The MPP set a worse precedent. So when they came to power, if you were anybody's relative, they seize your car. I got my houses demolished by the MPP with an ex-party order. What about that?
So is this a leveling playground? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's even evil to play revenge. But I'm just saying, whosoever raises equity must do equity. Much as they believe that nobody must steal state resources, they must be seen of stealing state resources. And it's even worse when they are the ones doing it. That's the problem. You do equity, you call equity. You see? So, their own hospital, Agenda 111, they are stealing it. So you ask this, are they serious? Appointees of the MPP, are they serious? And I blame President Akufo-Addo, who have gone to sleep after winning the election, as if he's no longer the president. And allow his people, who have the peasantry to steal, to continue to steal. And the gap of governance is created. And even though unlawful invasion continue to be unlawful, we should commend individuals who are vigilant night, day, morning to ensure that they don't steal what belongs to you and I. My sister, they are stealing all over the place. They are stealing, and I have evidence. They are stealing. What do? If we don't, we didn't arrest the fertilizer in Ashanti region. Will you know? Will you know that the MPP people hoarded fertilizer in millions, refused to give to farmers to farm? Is that good practice? So that is what it is. We understand the circumstances under which our youth are behaving the same, that way. But they are also trying to protect the public purse. President Akufo-Addo and his people have stolen the purse, and we are trying to recover them. We may be wrong, but the object is very right and legitimate. In the interest of the people of Ghana.
But if you may be wrong, then it defeats the purpose of the objective.
No. Don't look at the outcome. Look at the purpose. The purpose is that someone has stolen 10,000 bags of fertilizer. They have recovered it for the nation. Are you not happy?
The outcome is what affects us as a people. The outcome of any action is what has a bearing on the person.
I did say that His Excellency the President himself have condemned unlawful entry. We have done so. The General Secretary have done so. So currently we are working very close with the police to ensure that we prevent stealing. Look, YEA warehouse. They are stealing things. Yesterday, as Amanka said, MPP people had to go and chase their executives in their homes and recover their stolen goods. MPP party people, not NDC, not the people of Ghana. And so you see the sacrifice people are making. You see, so yes, some of them may have acted wrongly, but the object is very legitimate and right. They are stealing money left, right, center. That one we haven't reached there. Okay? They are stealing government land and developing overnight. You want us to allow that to continue? Where would you build your state office next year? So we would continue to encourage that unlawful things are not done. But the society must keep vigilant. Let's arrest every single person that has stolen state resources. This is that.
Well, Mustafa, the NDC, you have sought an injunction against the EC. What is the bigger picture in all of these?
The bigger picture is that we are going to have to attack the place where the police provided convenience for them to perpetrate illegality, a scheme to overturn the willful mandate of the people. And because it's a security installation, we needed to resort to peace. And we are going to court to do the needful. The needful. Because the EC went to the police to say that there were places that we hadn't declared because of the volatility of the area. The police gave them a safe area only for it to turn into the business of recoalition. Recoalition is illegal. Recoalition is illegal. They know that. And so they should be thanking the NDC for resorting to that. That is, a way of protecting democracy.
Well, some also believe that it was necessary that the EC move the coalition center from where they originally were.
We don't have a problem with that, but it was not necessary that the EC migrate from declaration to recoalition. Those are two different things, two different implications. One, we haven't declared, let's declare. Two, we have declared, let's review and redeclare. It's criminal.
So in all of this seeking of injunction against the EC, if you are not giving that, what does this mean for the NDC?
That means that we are protecting the seat that we have won.
How would you be protecting it?
Using the law. Let the law decide.
Okay. So you'll be going to court?
Yes, we will be in court.
Right. Mustafa, we are looking forward to having more conversations about these seats as the conversation seems to be constantly unraveling before our eyes. So we'll come back to you again.
I am extremely grateful.
Thank you for your time. Mustafa Gbande is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. They are seeking an injunction against the EC for the recoalition the EC is doing. They say that it is unlawful. If they do not receive this injunction, they will go to court about the results that the EC would have declared. But he also says that the NDC has no plans to abuse their majority advantage. The majority advantage they will be having in the 9th Parliament, they have no plans to abuse it. And says that the NPP is unfit to be in Parliament. Left to him alone, Ghanaians would have booted the NPP out of Parliament for us not to even see any NPP representative in Parliament. He also says that the military is the source of the issues that we saw in the elections. We will look at having more conversations with Mustafa and the NDC, understand where they are coming from. But you remember that prior to even the NDC's seeking of injunction, the former NPP National Chairman Peter McMahon called on the Electoral Commission to promptly resume the coalition process to reflect the will of the voters and ensure the stability of the nation, and stressed that the Electoral Commission's swift action is essential for resolving ongoing uncertainties and maintaining national harmony. And all of these are some conversations that we've been having in subsequent conversations here on ABC in the morning. We will speak with the NPP too, so that we will understand where they are coming from. But yesterday they had a press conference. Let's take an excerpt before we move on from this conversation.
Ensure the coalition is aborted when they realize that their candidate has lost, and compel the returning officers to declare NDC parliamentary candidates as winners of the parliamentary elections. These instructions have been recorded during the collations of the parliamentary election results for the following constituencies: 1. Ablekuma North, 2. Okankwe Central, 3. Tema Central, 4. Domiko Adenya, 5. Ahafuano North, 6. Obuasi East, 7. Ahafuano Southwest, 8. Akwatia, 9. Suhum, 10. Fantiakwa North, 11. Nsawam Adwaji, and lastly, but not the least, Techima South and Aowe. The question many will ask is, why will anybody who claims to have won an election be interested in destroying the most crucial evidence, in this case, pink sheets and ballot papers? Ensure.
So former chairman Peter McMahon of the NPP at their presser yesterday, you saw also in your shots the majority leader Alexander Phenyumarkin and also Justin Frimpong Kodua, who is the General Secretary of the NPP. The conversations are on end, and we'll have more in our subsequent ABC in the morning show. So you should be on standby to hear more on the conversations, as we'll speak with stakeholders to give us more clarity on what they are all expecting. But that's all for our main discussion this morning on ABC in the morning. We'll take a breather when we are back. Sam Onyimagbe is on hand to bring us some analysis on politics today. I know you enjoy all of these analysis every day on the show. Just be on hand. We'll bring you the analysis and you will enjoy it. Stay with us.
It's about 300 billion.
This is where the headlines are probed. Policies scrutinized through an objective lens with an unbiased approach to every discussion. Key in to a series of pulsating conversations with the hard questions.
Why do you still want to run when you have failed?
I haven't. What do you mean by failed?
In-depth analysis of policy proposals.
If it's a temporary program, why do we want to still create another gold reserve exchange program also to address a temporary issue?
If you introduce a temporary measure and you realize that the temporary measure works and is sustainable, you have to rethink whether or not it should just be temporary.
And every agenda and positions intellectually debated to set the record straight.
Look, you still don't answer the question now.
Go on.
Question is, if Article 78(1) is anything to go by, your ministers of state largely are supposed to come from the parliament.
Yes.
The law says that not less than 10 and not more than 19. So these are your cabinet, your ministers of state you're going to get. How do you intend to? Have you thought about managing that header?
Absolutely. If I hadn't, I probably would not get on the prey to do this.
On Focus on ABC, we focus on the matter, the personality, and the answer beyond the rhetoric. Focus on ABC shows every Thursday at 7 p.m. only on ABC News Ghana television.
Hello, good morning. You're welcome to another section of Politics Today with me, Samuel Nimabo. Today, we are bringing you yet another review of the 2024 elections. As we have been doing in the past, we are doing the regional review of the elections. We've gone to the Upper East, the Upper West, the Ashanti region, and the other regions in the north. Today, we are moving our attention away from these regions to some of the newly created regions in the country. I'm talking about the Bono and the Bono East region. Now, these regions, in the lead up to the 2024 elections, especially the Bono region, was predicted to be won by the NPP. It didn't turn out so. The NDC had a very sweeping win in the Bono region and the Bono East region as well. Now, if you look at the results in these two regions, the National Democratic Congress has won both the parliamentary and the presidential. In the two regions, the party has won almost all the seats within the two regions, combining some over 19 seats in the two regions. However, the NPP have lost most of their seats in the regions. The NPP has lost the incumbent seat in the region. What has accounted for these things? We will try to explore what happened in the Bono and the Bono East region. Now, let's first look at the Bono region. In the Bono region, the National Democratic Congress caused an upset in the 2024 elections, with the party winning 11 out of 12 seats. So the NDC has won 11 out of 12 seats in the Bono region. Now, before the elections, the NDC and the NPP had equal seats in the region, 6 each. So the region is made up of 12 constituencies. The Bono region is made up of 12 constituencies. The NDC, NPP, before the 2024 elections, held 6 each. Now, after the elections, as it stands now, the NPP only hold 1 seat, while the National Democratic Congress have 11 out of the 12 seats. The only seat that the NPP won in the region is the German South seat, which is currently occupied by the incumbent NDC MP Williams Okufo Date. So you realize that Williams Okufo-Datte, the NDC lost that seat to the NPP in the Bono region. Beside that, the party has won 11 of the remaining seats. The seat was won by the NPP's new entrant, in the NPP, Colonel Kojo Damwa, who is a former commissioner of the customs at the Ghana Revenue Authority. So in the region, John Dramani Mahama had 235,681 votes. In the Bono region, John Dramani Mahama had 235,681 votes. 235,681 votes as against the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who had 192,773 votes in the just ended 2024 presidential elections. So the NDC winning very comfortably in the region. Surprisingly, the surprise in the Bono region is that the NPP has lost all their incumbent seats in the region. Like I mentioned, before the elections, each party held 6 seats each. But however, the NPP lost all the 6 seats they were holding in the region and managed to only win 1 that was held by the NDC. So they lost all their incumbent seats. It means that not a single incumbent MP managed to retain his seat for the New Patriotic Party. That was some very poor showing in the Bono region. Now let's look at constituency by constituency. In the Sinyani East constituency, for example, the constituency which is considered as one of the stronghold of the NPP in the region, it is actually the stronghold of the NPP in the region. The incumbent MP, who is an NPP MP, Kwesi Ameya-Kyereme, lost the seat to Seydou Mubarak. He lost the seat to Seydou Mubarak. Now, Ameya-Kyereme had 22,306 votes as against the Seydou Mubarak NDC, who garnered 34,453 votes. So you are looking at some 12,000 votes difference, which is very huge in the region. And there was an independent candidate in the person of Ransford Enchi. He had 8,294 votes in the region, whilst the PNC also filled in a candidate in the constituency. PNC Sampana garnered some 222 votes. So you realize that Ameya-Kyereme lost very abysmally in the Sinyani East constituency. Now let's look at Sunyani West. Incumbent NP, now who is also the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations. Now Ameya-Kyereme is the Bono Regional Minister. He lost in Sunyani East. Then in the Sunyani West constituency, the Employment and Labor Relations Minister, Ignatius Bafo, lost also in the Sunyani West constituency. He lost the battle after getting 19,715 votes, whilst the NDC Millicent Yebua Amankwa garnered 26,828 votes. So these 2 seats which were seen as stronghold of the NPP, they've lost the 2 to the NDC. So you realize that the Labor Relations Minister lost with close to some 7,000 votes in the Sunyani East constituency. Then you move to Doma Central, where the former Health Minister, Kweku Agyeman-Manu, who became very unpopular, or if you want to say popular, during the COVID time, especially in relations to contract he signed with, for the Ghanaians to obtain the COVID vaccines. He became very unpopular in that situation. Now he contested on the ticket of the NPP in the Doma Central constituency. He lost also to the NDC John Kwame Edu-Jack, who polled 23,035 votes, whilst the former Health Minister Agyeman-Manu got 17,450 votes. So you realize that he lost with some over 5,000 votes in the constituency as well. So another seat that the NPP lost, incumbent seat they lost. Then you move from Doma Central to Doma East, where NPP incumbent Paul Chum Berima, I saw him in Parliament yesterday, and he was very smiley, even though he lost that Doma East seat to the NDC, Rachel Owusu Ama. He lost in the constituency. Paul Chum Berima lost in the Doma East constituency with just a slim margin. Now let's look at the vote he lost, he garnered. Now, whilst the NDC Rachel Owusu Ama got 12,310 votes, Chum Berima got 12,050 votes. 12,050 votes as against 12,310 votes. So you will realize that that is just a little over that is just little less than 300 votes he lost in the constituency, in the in the Doma East constituency. There he lost with less than 300 votes in the Doma East constituency. He lost that seat. Like I mentioned, when we saw him in the media yesterday in Parliament, he was in Parliament yesterday. He was very smiley. He understood that he had lost and he has to go and do his homework. Now let's move from the Doma constituencies to Brekum West. Now in Brekum West, the NPP lost again. In Brekum West constituency, NPP Kweku Agyenim Boateng was also defeated by NDC's candidate Dixon Tremedua. Now, Agyenim Boateng held the seat, but he was unseated. He had 13,000. Agyenim Boateng had 8,651 votes in the Brekum West constituency. Then the NDC's Dixon Tremedua had 13,869 votes. You look at the difference, and that is some 5,000 plus votes there that Agyenim Boateng lost in the Brekum West constituency. Another seat that the NPP lost in the Bono region is the Brekum East constituency. So you realize that the Sunyani constituencies, the Doma constituencies, and the Brekum constituencies, you were all held by the NPP. They've lost all of them. So Brekum East, Brekum West, Sunyani East, Sunyani West, Doma Central, and Doma East. Now let's look at the Brekum East. Incumbent NPP MP was Nelson Treme, who contested with. So it was a battle of the Tremes in the Brekum East constituency, because the NDC also filled in Simon Apabing Treme, who won in the constituency, defeating the NPP Nelson Treme. Now, the NDC's Treme had 23,476 votes to beat the NPP Treme. I'm talking about Nelson Treme, who got just 14,356 votes. So you realize that it is some 9,000 plus votes that Nelson Treme lost in the Brekum East constituency. So in all the 6 constituencies that the NPP held, they lost them. Then you come to the NDC side. The NDC maintained, or were able to maintain 5 of their seats, while also losing one of their incumbency. They retained the seat for the Ting constituency, or Tyne constituency. You have Ahmed Ibrahim winning that seat for the National Democratic Congress. He is the first deputy minority chief whip. Ahmed Ibrahim winning the seat for the National Democratic Congress. You have Suleimana Adama who won the Wenchi seat for the NDC. Seidu Haruna won it for the NDC in German North. Then Frederick Yao Ahenkwa won it for the NDC, whilst in the Doma West constituency, Vincent Opong Asamoah also won the seat for the NDC. So you will realize that the NDC maintained 5 of their incumbent seat, then 1/6 of the ones they were not holding to manage to get 11 out of the 12 seats in the Bono region. However, they lost the German South seat to the NPP, which make the NPP, who becomes the only seat the NPP holds in the region. Now, what really happened that the NPP suffered this humiliating defeat in the Bono region, especially in the lead up to the elections? Polls predicted the NPP to win even in the presidential election in this constituency, in this region. It didn't turn out so. Bono didn't turn out to be blue, rather turned to be green over there. Some issues, people believe that the MPs in the area for Sunyani East, Sunyani West, the Domas East and Domas Central became very arrogant. They became, and they didn't listen to the voices of the people, especially in the Sunyani constituency, Sunyani East and Sunyani West. The two NPP MPs who lost their seat, people believe they didn't listen to them. The constituents were aggrieved that some of their plight were neglected, and if you look at the MPs were rather developing their areas where they stayed, their stronghold, to the neglect of the plight of the constituent. So over the years, in the last 4 years, people have complained, constituents in the region have complained to no one to listen to. As a result, they show their power through the ballot, and it was a very humiliating defeat for the NPP in the Bono region. So that's what really played out in the Bono region. Very strong names losing there. You have Labour Relations Minister. You have Labour Relations Minister losing his seat. Ignatius Bafo losing his seat. Ameya Treme losing his seat. You have the former Health Minister Kweku Ejiman also losing his seat. Then you have Paul Chumberima in the Doma is also losing his seat. Some very significant names in the Bono region, but it didn't play out well. People have grown to not like their posture and their demeanor in the constituency, especially, and also there was a plethora of development issues that were not heard, especially roads in these constituencies. Some of the roads were still not being able to when still not constructed over the last 4 years, for which region the NPP paid dearly for them, especially the Labour Relations Minister. People believe he could have done more for the Sunyani East constituency, but it didn't turn out so. So that's what really played out in the Bono region. Now let's move from Bono to Bono East, another region that people thought that it could have tipped towards the NPP. If you look at among the Bono, the original Brong Ahafo region, it's one of the regions that the NPP won. The Brong Ahafo region, the old Brong Ahafo region, is one of the regions that the NPP used to win from time to time, although it was a swing region as well. It swung between the NPP and the NDC from time to time. The NPP had some very comfortable wins in the Brong Ahafo region. But following the split, one of the regions that people thought that it had become, if you look at the 2020 elections, and even in the lead up to the 2024 elections, people said that it was turning more green, was this region, the Bono East region. People thought, pollsters said that it was becoming more green in the Bono East region. And it became very green in the 2024 elections because the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, won with some 63.23% of the vote in the region. He had 273,654 votes in the Bono East region, whilst Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the NPP candidate, won or lost the region, garnering 156,218 votes. That is some 36.10% in the Bono East region. So the predictions that said that the Bono East region was going to be green actually came to pass because that region became green. In the, you look at the constituencies in this region, 10 constituencies in the region, all won by the National Democratic Congress. The only constituency after that hasn't, it has been declared, but there has been contentions over is the Techiman South constituency, which is the EC is yet to make a final declaration on it. But beside the Techiman South constituency, which is the NPP believe they've won in that constituency, the other 10 constituencies in the region, the National Democratic Congress has won it. So if you are combining Bono East and the Bono regions, the NDC has 21 out of a possible 21 seats out of a possible 22 seats in these two regions. That is some great performance for the National Democratic Congress. 21 seats out of a possible 23 actually, because Bono has 12 seats and then Bono East has 11. So that's a combined 23 seats. The NPP has won only 2 of the constituencies. German South in the Bono region, then Techiman South in the Bono East region. The National Democratic Congress has won in the Bono East region, for instance. They've won 10 in 10 of the constituencies. Let's list the number of constituencies then National Democratic Congress has won and who won in each of these constituencies. For the Atebubu Amantin constituency, Sanja Nanja won for the NDC, retaining his seat because he was an incumbent MP coming into the election. Sanja Nanja winning there. Kintampo North, Joseph Kwame Kuma won for the NDC. Kintampo South, you have Felicia Aji winning for the NDC in the Kintampo South constituency as well. In Kranza North, Joseph Kwesi Mensah winning for the National Democratic Congress. In Kranza South had Emmanuel Kojo. In the Nkranza South constituency, you have Emmanuel. You have in the Nkranza South constituency, you had Emmanuel Kojo Ejekum winning for the NDC. In Pro East and Pro West, the NDC won in these two constituencies as well for the National Democratic Congress. In Pro East, for example, Emmanuel Kweku Buam won for the NDC. Then in Pro West, Emmanuel Intekuni won for the NDC as well. Seni East, you had Dominic Nampare winning for the NDC, and in the Seni West constituency, you have Kwame Chumesi Ampofu winning for the National Democratic Congress. In Techiman North, Elizabeth Ofosu Ajare won for the NDC. So 10 out of the 11 possible seats in the Bono East region has been won by the National Democratic Congress. Till date, there remains one in contention, which is the Techiman South constituency. The EC is here to make a final ruling or declaration because we understand that the Electoral Commission has suspended all collation and recollation across the country, and Techiman South is part of that. But the NPP have maintained that they've won that seat, so we won't count it as part of the NDC seat. So we'll wait to see what the final result from that constituency will mean. But what we know is that 10 out of 11 possible seats in the Bono East region are now being held by the National Democratic Congress in the Bono East region. Before the elections, the NPP had 3 seats. So they have only been able to maintain one, which is the Techiman South. If it goes in their favor, it means that they've only been maintained 1 seat in the region. They've lost 2 of their incumbency to the NDC, who had 8 already. So what does that mean for the NPP? If you look at their performance in these 2 regions, it is nothing to write home about, especially in the Bono region where it was more blue. They had 6 seats and they had everything within them to increase the 6 to a higher number. But however, they dropped from 6 to 1 seat in the Bono region. Then you come to a region that was already green in the 2020 elections because the NDC had 8. The NPP was thinking that they would increase their margins in the region. It didn't suffice for them. Now they have only 1 seat, which is still being contended by the NDC, the Techiman South seat. We know what happened in Techiman in the 2020 elections. There was chaos, shooting led to the death of some 8 persons. That issue is still yet to be resolved. There hasn't been any proper investigations, no arrest has been made. We haven't had anything much from the Techiman South constituency. Then in 2020, the seat is still being contended by both parties. We'll wait to see what the EC has to say on the seat. However, the current seats that we know, the other 10 seats in the region has all been won by the National Democratic Congress. The NDC will be laughing very well for themselves for their performance in the Bono East region. They'll be laughing for themselves in the Bono East region. You look at the seat they've won, Kintampo North, Kintampo South, and Kranza North and Kranza South, Pro East and Pro West, Seni East and Seni West. All these seats, they have won it with ease, maintaining their dominance in the Bono region. What can the NPP do to regain themselves or put themselves back in these 2 regions, especially in the 2028 elections? It's early days yet, but if the party wants to get back to the majority they want to have again, because yesterday the majority leader Afenyo Markin says that Ghanaians will vote them back into the majority side of parliament in 2028. If that is anything to go by, it means that the party has to do well in these two regions, the Bono and the Bono East regions. They are regions that the party have to fight back and do, especially the 6 seats they lost, or the 5 seats they lost in that Bono region, the incumbent seats. You can't be losing so much incumbent seats if you want to win the elections, and the National Democratic Congress would be very happy with their performance in these 2 regions. And ahead of the 2028 elections, or heading into the 2028 elections, they will want to maintain their dominance in the region. So these 2 regions will be some regions that you want to keep your eyes on as things unfold, as things happen from 7th January 2025 up until 2028. Whatever happens will have an effect on the outcome of the 2028 elections. It's like I mentioned, it's early days yet, and we don't want to jump the gun yet. But this is what the regions look like. So both Bono and Bono East regions looks green so far for the 2024 elections. So far for the 2024 elections, it looks very for the National Democratic Congress in the region. So that is how we end our review of the 2 regions in the 2 regions, the Bono and the Bono East region in the 2024 elections. The National Democratic Congress are smiling for their good work that is done in these 2 regions. The NPP will have to go back and do much more to come back in December 2028. That's how much time will buy me on politics today. Do stay. Abinamante comes back.
mid-year budget review with some key allocations.
We are currently here at Kanishi.
When the news breaks, we are there. In the heart of matters arising, we follow through with the right question. Don't miss a beat with our in-depth news analysis. From breaking news, special feature stories, latest news, we bring you the stories that matter. Our team of immersed reporters bring you the news as it happens. Join us every 6 a.m., 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. each day for a comprehensive look at the stories beyond the headlines.
You're watching ABC News GH.
ABC News GH, your trusted source for news.
Welcome back to ABC in the morning. Up next is Ghana Speaks.
Times are hard in Ghana, extremely hard.
As we gear towards the 2024 general elections, there have been conversations around having a presidential debate. Will it happen or not? This is Ghana Speaks.
Today on Ghana Speaks, we are asking you who you expect to sign the anti-LGBTQ plus bill into law. Are you expecting President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo or President-elect John Dramani Mahama to be the one who signs the bill into law? Call us on 053-916-1609, 053-916-1609, and let's hear from you, because it is your voice alone that matters. Who do you expect to sign the anti-LGBTQ plus bill into law? President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo or President-elect John Dramani Mahama? Recently, the President-elect said that it's his hope that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo signs the bill into law before he exits office. Some others say that, well, it was a private member's bill led by NDC MPs. So now that an NDC government has won, the NDC party has won the elections and will be constituting the next government, it is only right that an NDC government is the one that signs the bill into law. Do you agree with them? Call us on 053-916-1609. The number is on your screens, and tell us what you think about this. When you call us, kindly turn down the volume of your TV so that we can hear you and you can also hear us. So let's take a look at when President-elect John Dramani Mahama called on President Akufo-Addo to sign the bill into law.
Among the few African countries to pass draconian anti-LGBT legislation widely condemned by human rights groups, will you sign it into law if it is brought before you?
It's not an anti-LGBT, it is a family values bill. It was approved unanimously by our parliament. You see, it's against our culture, African culture. It's against our religious faith, Muslim and Christian and all that. But I think that we must look at the bill, and the president must indicate what he finds wrong with that bill and send the bill back to parliament. Or alternatively, he must send it to the Council of State and get the Council of State's advice.
Is that what you would have done?
That's what I would have done.
And will you ever sign an anti-LGBT bill?
Well, so that was the President-elect John Dramani Mahama. what he said about the bill, family values bill. Call us and let us know what you think about it, who you expect to sign the bill into law. Many have called this bill a draconian one, a bill that will hunt people in the nation, and that the bill shouldn't be signed into law because it will do more harm than good. It will do more harm than the good that is expected out of the bill. Do you believe so? Do you also agree to that? Recently, Sam George and the other MPs, including a section of Ghanaians, took to the streets to demonstrate because they believe that the Supreme Court was delaying on the issues about the bill that was in the Supreme Court. So these have taken a lot of years, actually, about 2 to 3 years, about this bill alone, going back and forth. Many have said that those who identify as LGBTQ are not harming anybody in the nation. They are going about their lives on a normal, and if you would sign this bill into law, you will be harming them. We have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from. Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Australia.
Okay. Who do you expect to sign the bill into law?
Yeah, I think that Nico Farage should sign the bill since he was the one who started the process.
Okay.
Legal document for better documentation.
All right. Thank you for calling. So you can also call us and share your views with us. The number is on your screen. Who do you expect to sign the anti-LGBTQ plus bill into law? President Nana Akufo-Addo or President-elect Mahama? Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, good morning. My name is Alhaji Aminu. I'm calling from Medina.
Okay. Alhaji, have your say.
Yes, madam, thank you very much. Normally, I don't know. You see, President Mahama President-elect John Mahama, sometimes he's playing with our intelligence. You see, it's very simple. Why would you say that? Some people, even if I hear some of our members of parliament also behaving like this, you see, you are going to inherit the country. The people of Ghana decided that you are going to lead the country. So why would you say, if it is money, then you said you shouldn't sign any contract. But if it is LGBTQ, President should say this. What kind of double standard is that? So he has voted for. He should wait if he even want to sign whatever. And he has majority in parliament. He can do whatever he likes with Ghana. Nobody can challenge him. And we, as the opposition, will make sure the promise he promised people. He will sign whether yes, what is his name? This is my younger brother, Sam George. He was everywhere talking about the president to sign the LGBT. Today, you are in government. You are coming to swear in. So when they show you in, you have a majority in parliament. Whatever you want, you can do with the country. But again, my sister, let us warn every NDC man. As it stands now, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo is still the President of the Republic of Ghana. We are more stubborn than them. But sometimes we love our country. We need a piece of this country.
Okay,
we need to be united.
Alaji,
shouldn't be doing as if they are.
Thank you for calling. So that's Alaji from Medina. He says that President Mahama can wait and after swearing in sign the bill. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello.
Hello, your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Oscar.
Oscar?
Yeah, I'm calling from Germany.
Okay. Oscar, have your say on this. Who do you expect to sign the anti-LGBTQ plus bill?
I think if Akufo-Addo didn't sign it, then nobody should sign it. It's as simple as that. Because the debate was made during his era. So if he couldn't make up his mind, then nobody else should.
But the case is in court at the moment.
yes, the case should be abolished. It should be withdrawn from court because the government in power is not in power anymore. So they should end up that case.
Okay. Thank you for calling. You can also call us 0539161609. Let's hear what you have to say about it. Who do you expect to sign the anti-LGBTQ plus bill? Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo or John Dramani Mahama? Please turn down the volume of your TV when you call so that we can hear you. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Morning, how are you?
Hello, good morning.
I'm called Sylvester. Calling from Upper West.
Right. Who do you expect to sign the bill?
Yes, as my brother who has just gone down. So let's just abolish it.
We should abolish the bill. Okay. Well, you two can call us and let us know what you think about this. Call us and share your thoughts. Who do you expect to sign the anti-LGBTQ plus bill? Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
When you call us, please turn down the volume of your TV so that we can hear you. When you keep your volume up, you will tend to lag behind, and then the conversation will not flow as smoothly as we both want it. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Jeffrey. I'm calling from the Western region.
Okay. Jeffrey, have your say.
Please, I think the bill should be signed by the president-elect.
Okay.
Yes, since Sam George was the one saying a whole lot about this issue, so the president-elect should be the one to sign the bill. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you for calling. We'll take one more call, and then that'll be all for Ghana Speaks. You call us 0539161609. Who do you expect to sign the anti-LGBTQ plus bill? Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Please, my name is David. I'm calling from Northern Region, which is in Anambra South District.
David, have your say.
Please, for me, opinion, I think John Mahama, he's not supposed to sign the bill because he have not yet swear him as the president of the Republic of Ghana. So how can he sign the decision? So he's not supposed to sign it. Okay. Because Akufo-Addo is supposed to sign it.
So those asking for John Mahama to sign, they are not saying he should sign it now. They are saying that after he's sworn into power and made president of the nation, then he can sign it.
Okay. For that one there, let's do wait. He's supposed to wait.
Okay. Davis, thank you for calling.
Yeah.
So that's Davis from the Northern Region. He also has had his say on the matter. But that's all for Ghana Speaks today on ABC in the morning. In our subsequent conversations, we'll bring you more topics and we'll look at hearing from you on Ghana Speaks. It's your voice that matters. That's all. We'll end ABC in the morning today. We are grateful to you for joining us, for spending your time to watch us here. To our guests we spoke with, we are grateful for you who called into the show too. Thank you for calling. We'll come your way with another edition of ABC in the morning. For more news, visit our website www.abcnewsgh.com. Also, be with us on our socials at abcnewsgh_ so that anytime we have any conversation, we'll look forward to interacting with you. And when we are live, our YouTube channel will also be live, ABC News GH. Go on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications. Thank you for making the show a success today. I am Abna Manti. Enjoy the rest of your day.